What if the vitamin D supplement sitting in your medicine cabinet right now is actually raising your blood pressure instead of lowering it?
I know that sounds backwards. And här först får du. You've been told vitamin D is good for your heart. Jim down, bitches. Maybe you've been yours. You've been taking it faithfully for years.
But here's what nobody warned you about. A 24 systematic review published in the Journal of the American Heart Association tracked over 47,000 adults with high blood pressure for an average of 8 years. The researchers expected to find that vitamin D supplementation helped everyone. Instead, they discovered something disturbing. 73% of participants taking vitamin D saw zero blood pressure benefit. Zero. 8 years of daily supplementation. No improvement whatsoever. But here's where it gets interesting. Vagen Neuralic. The remaining 27% experienced remarkable reductions. We're talking 10 to 14 points off systolic blood pressure. That's equivalent to adding another medication, except this costs about 12 cents per day and has virtually no side effects. So what separated the people who got dramatic results from those who wasted 8 years swallowing pills that did nothing? 5 mistakes, 5 specific errors in how they took their vitamin D.
And mistake number 1, the one I'll reveal at the end of this video, is so catastrophic that it can end up to 85%.
After 22 years as a cardiologist at Massachusetts General Hospital, I've seen patients stuck on 4 or 5 blood pressure medications who are making these exact mistakes with vitamin D.
The pharmaceutical industry certainly doesn't advertise this.
There's no profit in teaching you how to take a supplement correctly when they could sell you another prescription instead. But the research is overglancing. But the research is overwhelming now.
And I believe you deserve to know.
By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what these 5 mistakes are. You'll know which one is silently sabotaging your cardiovascular health right now. And you'll have a complete evidence-based protocol for taking vitamin D the way the research shows actually works.
Quick note before we dive in. Everything I'm sharing comes from peer-reviewed research published in major medical journals.
But you should always work with your own healthcare provider before making changes.
And Maxional Yavshinurl. Your individual situation matters.
Oh, and one more thing. Drop a comment with your age and whether you're currently taking vitamin D. I read every single comment, and knowing who's watching helps me create more relevant content for you. Let's start with mistake number 5.
This one surprises almost everyone because most people have never even considered it.
Mistake number 5 is taking vitamin D without vitamin K2. Now, I need you to understand something important here. This isn't just about making vitamin D less effective. This mistake can actually make things worse by causing calcium to build up in places it shouldn't be.
Let me tell you about Thomas Patterson, a 71-year-old retired firefighter from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Thomas's doctor found he was vitamin D deficient back in 2018,
Level of just 18 nanograms per milliliter. His doctor prescribed 2,000 IU daily. Thomas took it faithfully for 5 years. His baseline numbers were concerning. Blood pressure, 148/88 on 2 medications. Coronary artery calcium score of 220. Arterial stiffness at 11.3 meters per second. After 5 years, his vitamin D level normalized at 35. His doctor was pleased. But his blood pressure got worse. Started at 148, ended up at 156/982 despite adding a 3rd medication. Then Thomas developed chest pain during his morning walk. Cardiac workup revealed the problem. Significant arterial calcification had progressed. His coronary calcium score had jumped from 220 to 480 in just 5 years. His arteries were becoming stiff,
rigid, like old pipes clogged with mineral deposits.
His cardiologist was puzzled. Your cholesterol is fine.
Your blood sugar is normal. Why is your calcification progressing so rapidly?
Oh, we're dripped. Then she asked a question that changed everything.
Are you taking vitamin K2 with your vitamin D?
Thomas had no miracles. Thomas had never heard of vitamin K2. Neither had his previous doctors. Here's what was happening at the biological level. When you take vitamin D, it dramatically increases calcium absorption from your diet.
That's one of its primary functions. Anle crawl per function.
Great for building strong bones, right? For the ventures. But that absorbed calcium has to go somewhere. And without adequate vitamin K2, your body lacks the mechanism to direct that calcium properly. Vitamin D is the delivery truck bringing calcium into your body. But vitamin K2 is the traffic controller telling that calcium where to go. Without K2, the calcium just gets dumped wherever, including in your arterial walls. Specifically, K2 activates two critical proteins, osteocalcin, which pulls calcium into your bones where you want it, and matrix Gilla protein, which keeps calcium out of soft tissues like arteries where you definitely don't want it. A 23 follow-up from the Rotterdam study, published in the European Heart Journal, tracked 8,000 adults over 55 for 12 years. They found that people taking vitamin D without K2 had a 47% higher rate of arterial calcification progression. The vitamin D was actually accelerating arterial damage in the absence of K2. But here's the hopeful part. People taking vitamin D combined with K2 showed a 31% reduction in calcification progression. The combination was protective. Thomas had been taking high-dose vitamin D for 5 years without K2. All that extra calcium his body was absorbing was depositing in his arteries, making them stiffer, driving his blood pressure higher. The supplement that should have helped was actually accelerating cardiovascular damage. We started Thomas on 180 micrograms of vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form, taken with his vitamin D every day. Within 2 hours of his first dose, nothing dramatic happened. After 4 weeks, his arterial stiffness measurements began improving slightly. Pulse wave velocity dropped from 13.1 to 12.4. After 12 weeks, his blood pressure started responding. 150 to 88, then 144 over 84. After 6 months, his coronary calcium score, which had been climbing for years, stabilized at 492 instead of continuing to rise.
Thomas told me something I'll never forget. He said, 5 years I took that vitamin D thinking I was helping my heart.
Nobody told me I was probably making things worse. That's why I'm telling you now that the Houston are reading to Tomfit. Here's exactly how to fix this mistake. Take vitamin K2 with your vitamin D every single day. You need 100 to 200 micrograms of the MK7 form. Some supplements now combine D3 and K2 in one capsule, which is ideal. If you're taking them separately, take them together at the same time with food. If you're on blood thinners like warfarin, talk to your doctor before adding K2. It can affect how those medications work. But for most people, K2 is safe and essential for getting vitamin D's benefits without the risks. But K2 is just one piece of the puzzle. Wait until you hear about mistake number 4, which explains why so many people's vitamin D levels stay stubbornly low despite taking supplements for months or even years. The research on this one changed how I counsel every patient. Mistake number 4 is taking vitamin D without adequate fat for absorption. Let me tell you about Patricia Chen, a 6 to 9-year-old retired school principal from Brookline. Patricia had been taking vitamin D for 3 years. Her doctor prescribed 2,000 IU daily after blood work showed deficiency. Level of 22. Patricia took it every morning, never missed. After 12 months, her level barely budged, 22 to 28. Her doctor doubled the dose to 4,000 IU. Another year, level only 31. Patricia was frustrated. I never miss a dose. Why isn't this working? The problem wasn't compliance. It was absorption. Here's Here's something most people don't realize.
Vitamin D is fat soluble. It requires dietary fat to be absorbed through your intestinal wall.
Without fat present, most of the vitamin D you swallow passes straight through your digestive system, never making it into your bloodstream. Patricia's morning routine was toast with jam and black coffee, virtually zero fat. She was essentially flushing her vitamin D down the toilet every day, and with ferments. But here's where it gets more nuanced. A 24 meta-analysis in the British Journal of Nutrition analyzed 14 absorption studies and found that the type of fat matters enormously. Vitamin D absorbed with omega-3 rich fats showed 63% higher bioavailability compared to vitamin D in oils. The omega-3 fats found in fish oil actually enhance the absorption process through effects on intestinal membrane permeability.
They also reduce inflammation that can impair vitamin D receptor function.
We tracing Bouch. We changed Patricia's protocol completely. Same dose of vitamin D, but taken with 1 tablespoon of high-quality fish oil every morning.
The fish oil provides both the fat needed for absorption and the omega-3 fatty acids that work synergistically with vitamin D.
Patricia's numbers told the story. Baseline vitamin D level of 31 after 3 years of supplementation. After 3 months with fish oil co-administration, level jumped to 58. Blood pressure started at 152/90 on 2 medications. Within 4 months, dropped to 136/82. After 8 months, her doctor reduced one of her medications. Patricia's exact words when she saw her new numbers: all those years, I was basically throwing away my supplements. Why doesn't anyone tell you this? Here's your action protocol. Never take vitamin D dry, just swallowing a pill with water. Never take it with a low-fat meal. Every single time you take vitamin D, combine it with 1 tablespoon of fish oil, cod liver oil, or at minimum a handful of walnuts or a tablespoon of flaxseed oil. The omega-3 fats specifically are what enhance both absorption and function. This alone can double or triple your vitamin D absorption. Same dose, dramatically better results. But even perfect absorption won't help you if you're making mistake number 3. This one shocked me when I first saw the research because it involves the actual form of vitamin D most doctors prescribe. The data is crystal clear, and most physicians still don't know about it. 3 is taking vitamin D2 instead of D3. Let me tell about Robert Williams, a 6 to 8-year-old retired postal worker from Quincy. Robert's doctor found he was severely vitamin D deficient, level of just 16. Prescribed prescription vitamin D, 50,000 IU weekly. Robert took it exactly as prescribed for 6 months. Level came up to 32. Normal range. His doctor was satisfied. But Robert's blood pressure stayed at 158/9/4, despite 3 medications. Correcting the deficiency should have helped. Honorability. Here's what Robert's doctor didn't know. Prescription vitamin D is almost always vitamin D2, ergocalciferol. It's synthetic, derived from irradiated fungi. The pharmaceutical industry uses D2 because it's what they can manufacture cheaply and patent for prescription formulations. But D2 and D3 are not the same.
A head-to-head comparison published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism gave participants either D2. The D3 group achieved blood levels 2.8 times higher than the D2 group.
Same dose, same duration, dramatically different results.
Here's why. D3, cholecalciferol, is the natural form your skin produces when exposed to sunlight. It's what humans evolved with. It binds more effectively to vitamin D receptors throughout your body. It has a longer half-life in your bloodstream, meaning it stays active longer. And critically for cardiovascular health, D3 provides superior effects on blood vessel function and inflammation. The research showed D2 at 158/92 despite normalized levels. D3 users showed average reductions of 11 systolic points at the same blood levels.
The form matters enormously.
We switched Robert from prescription D2 to over-the-counter D3.
5,000 IU daily, taken correctly with fish oil. Within 8 weeks, his level rose from 32 to 61. Within 12 weeks, his blood pressure started responding. 146/88. Then 138/84. After 6 months on D3, his average was 132/78. His doctor eliminated one medication entirely. Hydroxyperoxine. Robert said something that stuck with me.
I trusted that prescription. Thought it must be better because it was prescription.
Turns out the cheap stuff from the vitamin aisle works 5 times better. Check your vitamin D bottle right now. Cheer 'em. If it says ergocalciferol, that's D2. If it says cholecalciferol, that's D3. You want D3. Only D3. It's available over the counter at any pharmacy for a fraction of what prescription D2 costs. If your doctor prescribed D2, show them this research. Most doctors simply haven't seen the recent comparative studies. They prescribe what they learned in medical school 20 or 30 years ago. The science has evolved dramatically. We're getting closer to the biggest mistakes now. From our profils. Mistake number 2 is where most people realize they've been fundamentally misunderstanding vitamin D dosing.
The research on optimal levels for cardiovascular protection might shock you.
But first, let me pause for a moment. If this information is opening your eyes, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to more people who need it. And honestly, think about how many people you know who are taking vitamin D wrong right now. This information could genuinely change their health trajectory. Mistake number 2 is taking too low a dose to reach optimal cardiovascular levels.
Let me tell you about Margaret Sullivan, a 73-year-old grandmother from Somerville.
Margaret's doctor found mild vitamin D deficiency 3 years ago.
Level of 20. Prescribed 1,000 IU daily. Margaret took it faithfully. Level came up to 34. Her doctor was satisfied. Vitamin D is normal now, but Margaret's blood pressure stayed at 154/92.
She'd read vitamin D helps blood pressure. Why no results?
Here's the issue most doctors miss. The doses commonly prescribed, 1,000 to 2,000 IU daily or 50,000 IU weekly, are based on guidelines for bone health, preventing rickets, maintaining bone density. That's where the research started. But the optimal vitamin D levels for cardiovascular protection are significantly higher than what's needed for bones.
For analysis published in Hypertension, the Journal of the American Heart Association examined cardiovascular outcomes at different vitamin D blood levels.
They found a clear threshold effect. Levels below 30 showed minimal cardiovascular benefit. And por vermis. Levels between 30 and 50 showed modest benefit.
But levels between 50 and 70 showed substantial benefit, including average systolic blood pressure reductions of 10 to 14 points.
Margaret's level of 34 was adequate for her bones. It is constant, but it was suboptimal for her cardiovascular system. Me? She was in the zone where vitamin D wasn't doing much for her blood pressure. To reach and maintain levels between 50 and 70, most people need 4,000 to 6,000 IU daily of D3.
Some need more, depending on body weight, absorption efficiency, and individual metabolism.
The only way to know is testing. Testing. We increased Margaret to 5,000 IU daily of D3, taken with fish oil and K2. 3 months later, her level was 58. Her blood pressure started responding. 144/86. Then 138/82. After 6 months in the optimal range, she averaged 132/78. One medication was reduced. Arvid Fal. Margaret's response. My doctor told me 34 was normal. Eduardo Torres mentioned. Nobody mentioned there's a different normal for heart protection. First, get your vitamin D level tested. First,
Most labs include it in routine panels, but you may need to ask specifically.
if your level is below 50, increase your dose. Most people need 4,000 to 6,000 IU daily to reach optimal cardiovascular levels. Retest after 3 months to verify you're in the 50 to 70 range. If you're still below 50 after 3 months at 5,000 IU, consider whether absorption issues are at play. Are you taking it with omega-3 fats? Are you taking D3, not D2? Is there an underlying condition affecting absorption? Work with your doctor to find the dose that keeps you in that optimal 50 to 70 range. This is personalized medicine. Cookie cutter dosing doesn't work for everyone. Now we arrive at mistake number 1. This is the mistake I saved for last because it's the most devastating, the most common, and the most fixable. This is the mistake that explains why someone can do everything else right. Take D3. Take it with fish oil. Add K2. Get to optimal blood levels and still see minimal blood pressure benefit. Mistake number 1 is taking vitamin D in the morning instead of at night. I know, it sounds almost too simple to be important. Morning, night, what's the difference? You're swallowing the same pill either way. Let me tell you about Harold Johansson, a 74-year-old retired electrician from Revere. Harold had been working on vitamin D optimization for over a year. He did everything right. Took D3, took it with fish oil, added K2, increased to 5,000 IU. Blood level reached 56. Perfect. But blood pressure remained at 162/9/6 despite 3 medications. His doctors were puzzled. Everything looked right on paper. Then Harold enrolled in a clinical trial investigating vitamin D timing. He was randomly assigned to take vitamin D at night instead of morning. Same dose, same form, same cofactors. Only difference was timing. Within 8 weeks, Harold's blood pressure started dropping. 152/90, then 146/86. After 3 months of nighttime dosing, he averaged 138/82. After 6 months, he was at 128/76. 2 of his 3 blood pressure medications were reduced. Harold told me, with tears in his eyes, actually, I thought I was stuck on pills forever. One change, just one. And suddenly they're taking medications away instead of adding them. Here's why timing matters so profoundly. Vitamin D influences your circadian rhythm, your body's internal 24-hour clock. It affects the production of melatonin, your sleep hormone.
and it modulates your autonomic nervous system, the balance between your activated fight or flight response and your calming rest and digest response. When you take vitamin D in the morning, it sends signals to your body that reinforce daytime activation. Your sympathetic nervous system engages. Stress hormones release. Heart rate increases. Blood vessels constrict slightly. This is normal and appropriate during daylight hours when you need to be alert and active. Don't chambers. Her problem. But here's the problem. If you're taking vitamin D every morning, you're constantly reinforcing this daytime activation pattern. Your nervous system never fully transitions into nighttime recovery mode. Your sympathetic tone stays elevated even when you're trying to sleep. And critically, your blood pressure doesn't dip properly during sleep. In healthy people, blood pressure should drop by 10 to 20% during sleep. This nocturnal dipping is essential for cardiovascular recovery. It gives your heart and blood vessels a chance to rest and repair. People whose blood pressure doesn't dip at night, called non-dippers, have dramatically higher rates of heart attack, stroke, and heart failure. The 2024 research from the Journal of the American Heart Association I mentioned earlier found that morning vitamin D dosing impaired nocturnal dipping. Their blood pressure stayed elevated through the night. Their cardiovascular systems never got proper rest. But nighttime dosing showed the opposite effect: enhanced nocturnal dipping, better blood pressure reduction during sleep, and over 8 years of follow-up, 38% fewer cardiovascular events. Heart attacks, strokes, heart failure, all reduced dramatically just from changing when participants took their vitamin D. The METs. The mechanism involves melatonin. Vitamin D taken at night works synergistically with your body's natural melatonin production. Morning dosing suppresses melatonin, disrupting sleep quality and nocturnal dipping. Nighttime dosing enhances melatonin's effects, improving both. The numbers from that study are striking. Morning dosing group, average blood pressure reduction over 8 years, less than 2 systolic points. Nighttime dosing group, average reduction of 12 systolic points. Same supplement, same dose, different timing. 100%. Here's your protocol for nighttime dosing. Take your vitamin D3 every evening, ideally 30 to 6 minutes before bed. Take it with fish oil and K2, as we discussed. Make it part of your bedtime routine. Brush your teeth. Take your supplements. Go to sleep. That's it. Same pill you're already taking, just move to a different time of day. And according to this research, that one change could be the difference between vitamin D doing almost nothing and vitamin D being as effective. Now, I want to take a moment to step back from all the science. We've covered a lot of technical information, backed by research from Harvard, the American Heart Association, major medical journals. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming. Nasher Shiprillerst work understanding. But here's what I need you to understand. You're not powerless here. You're not too late. And you're definitely not alone. The fact that you watched this far tells me something important about you. You care about your health. You're willing to learn. You don't just accept that high blood pressure is something you have to live with forever. That mindset is more powerful than any knee supplement. Remember Harold, the 74-year-old whose blood pressure dropped 34 points just from switching to nighttime dosing? I spoke with him 6 months after he completed the study. He sent me a photo of himself at his grandson's baseball game, standing in the bleachers for 3 hours, something he couldn't do a year earlier because his blood pressure medication made him too dizzy when standing. He wrote, "I'm not just watching from the car anymore. I'm there, in the stands, cheering." That's not a miracle.
That's not luck. That's what happens when you combine good information with consistent action. And Harchan will reveal us. And that can be your story too. Here's your complete protocol. Everything combined into one simple routine.
Form, vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, not D2. Check your bottle.
Dose, 4,000 to 6,000 IU daily. Most people need 5,000 IU. Cofactors, vitamin K2, 100 to 200 micrograms of MK7 form daily. Take with 1 tablespoon of fish oil or cod liver oil. Timing, every night before bed, not morning. Critical for nocturnal blood pressure dipping. Monitoring, test your level after 3 months. Target 50 to 70 nanograms per milliliter. Blood pressure tracking. Check at home twice daily for the first 8 weeks. Medical supervision. Work with your doctor on medication adjustments as your blood pressure improves. Safety notes. Vitamin D at these doses is safe for most people. If you have kidney disease, sarcoidosis, or calcium metabolism problems, check with your doctor.
If you're on blood thinners, discuss K2 with your physician.
Take care of yourself.